My name is Naomi Rivers, and if you ask my family, I'm the chapter they never talk about out loud, the one who got pregnant at 19, the one who didn't finish college, the one they shook their heads over behind closed doors. At every family gathering, I was the cautionary tale, the unspoken example of what not to become. They never said it directly. No, they were far too polished for that. But the tone in their voices said enough, and I let them. For years, I swallowed my pride, smiled when I was looked through, and stayed quiet when my name was left off group texts. Because I didn't have the degrees. I didn't have the corner office. What I had was Maya. She's 14 now, soft-spoken, wildly bright. She reads medical journals like bedtime stories and leaves kindness in every room she walks into. She saved me from the worst version of myself. She made me fight harder. She made me someone. That's why when the invitation came from my mother's birthday dinner, addressed to Naomi plus family, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe they were ready. Maybe they wanted to see Maya, not just tolerate her, see her. I told Maya we were invited, and her eyes lit up. She picked out her dress 3 days early, braided her own hair, practiced smiling in the mirror like her aunties do. I should have known. I should have known better. But even the most worn hearts can still be cracked open by a sliver of hope. And I walked into that restaurant believing maybe, just maybe, they finally saw us. The restaurant was beautiful. Warm lighting, gold-rimmed, glasses, laughter rising like champagne bubbles. We stepped in hand. Maya squeezed my fingers, her eyes wide with wonder. She looked like a dream. Soft blue dress, gold clip in her hair, nervous smile trying to stay brave. I spotted them right away. My mother at the center of the long table, wearing pearls she never lent out. My sister Camille tossing her hair back, already halfway through a cocktail. Uncles, cousins, picture perfect in curated outfits. And then I saw it, 10 chairs, all filled but 2. 1 for me, none for Maya. I blinked. Surely someone had forgotten to pull an extra seat. Surely it was a mistake. But Camille looked up, her tone effortless. There's no room for extra guests. Extra. That word didn't hit like a slap. It landed colder, like frost on skin, slow, creeping, and hard to shake. I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, my mother added, "The lounge is more comfortable for kids anyway." She didn't even glance at Maya. Maya looked down at her shoes. She shifted her weight, that gold clip starting to slide from her hair. "I don't mind, Mom," she whispered. "I'll be okay." And that's when I felt it. The old ache in my chest. The familiar burn behind my eyes. I looked at the table. At the family who never once made room for me. And now wanted me to teach my daughter to sit in the shadows too. I took a breath. And I stood up. For a moment, no one moved. Forks hovered midair. Champagne flutes sparkled like nothing ugly had just been said. My mother adjusted her napkin. Camille scrolled her phone. Someone laughed at the other end of the table. But all I saw was Maya, still standing beside me, still trying to make herself smaller, like she didn't belong in that room. And maybe she didn't, but not for the reasons they thought. "She's not an extra," I said, my voice low. Steady, sharper than I expected. Camille looked up, surprised I'd spoken. My mother sighed. "Naomi, don't start." I turned to the waiter standing a few feet away, holding a notepad and waiting to take orders. "Excuse me," I said. "Cancel the dinner." He blinked. "I'm sorry?" I repeated it slowly. "No one will be needing food tonight. The room went still. My uncle set his wine glass down, puzzled. Someone whispered my name like it was a problem. I reached into my purse, pulled out my card, and handed it to the waiter. "There's a cancellation fee, right?" He nodded. I nodded back. "Charge it. Add a tip for your patience." Maya clutched my hand. I could feel her heart racing through her palm, but she didn't say a word. My mother stared. Camille's lips parted like she had something cutting to say, but nothing came out. I looked around that table, so full of people, and yet so empty. "I won't let her sit in the lounge while you pretend this is family." Then I walked away, with my daughter beside me, exactly where she belonged. The walk out felt longer than it was, not because of distance, but because every step echoed. Not one person called after us, not a single chair scraped back. They just let us leave. The cold night air wrapped around us like a second skin. Maya's fingers tightened in mine. We didn't speak for the first few blocks. Just walked. I didn't cry. I thought I would. But instead, I felt clean, like I'd scrubbed years of swallowed pride from my throat, like I'd finally told the part of myself that always wanted to be accepted. No more. We reached the corner, and Maya looked up at me. "Was I wrong to go, Mom?" Her voice broke something inside me. I stopped walking and turned to her. "No. You were brave to come, and braver to leave." She didn't smile. She just nodded, like she was filing it away. Some quiet truth she might need later. I pulled out my phone, ordered 2 burgers and milkshakes from the place we used to visit when I could barely afford fries. We sat on a bench across from the park and waited. When the food arrived, I handed Maya her cup, we toasted with plastic lids. "To making space," I said. She grinned finally. "To walking out," she whispered. And in that tiny moment, paper bag between us, ketchup packet in her hand, I felt something I never did at family dinners. Full. Not from food, but from finally choosing love over legacy. From showing my daughter that dignity doesn't beg for a seat. It builds its own. I didn't plan to tell anyone. I wasn't trying to make a statement. Just a mother doing what mothers do. Protect, hold, leave when needed. But the world has a way of seeing what your own family won't. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of unread messages, texts, missed, calls. Tags Maya was still asleep beside me, curled up under her favorite fleece blanket. I tiptoed to the kitchen and checked my phone. There it was, a photo. Our untouched table at the restaurant, 2 empty plates in the corner, a crisp receipt, and the caption, posted by the restaurant's official page. Last night, a mother stood, up for her daughter. When told there was no room, she chose dignity over dinner. We thank you, Ms. Rivers, for reminding us that love doesn't humiliate, it includes. I stared at the screen, blinking, breathing, not sure if I should feel seen or exposed. Then I read the comments. Thousands. From strangers who weren't really strangers. Mothers. Daughters. People who had once been told, "Not this time. Not you." There's no space. And here they were, writing things like, "She made space anyway. I wish someone had done this for me. I'm naming my daughter Maya. I wasn't famous. I wasn't perfect. But somehow, that night, the one they tried to erase us from, became a lighthouse for people like me, like us. And for the first time, my voice wasn't just mine. It was part of something bigger, and it all started because my daughter didn't have a chair. The post had over 2 million views by noon. People were calling me brave. Some wanted interviews. Others just sent emails with stories that mirrored mine, pain pressed between the lines like bruises under long sleeves. But from my own family? Nothing. No calls, no texts, no apology. Just silence so heavy, it rang louder than words ever could. Camille unfollowed me. My cousin Alicia sent a vague message. Hope you're okay. Like I'd just sneezed at a dinner party, not shattered the silence of decades. I stared at their names lighting up my screen, not with love, but with absence. I kept wondering, was it shame or just inconvenience? Were they embarrassed by what happened, or just annoyed it went public? I didn't know, and honestly, I didn't care anymore, because something strange was happening. Maya, my sweet, soft-spoken girl, she started walking taller. She posted a photo of our burger night with the caption, "My mom is my hero. Her," friends commented. People we didn't even know messaged her, saying she was lucky, and she was. But not in the way they thought. She was lucky because she'd seen love that didn't flinch, because someone stood up when the room went quiet, because I finally chose us, not out of anger, but out of love that refused to shrink. And I realized something. Family isn't who sits at the table. It's who notices when you're missing, who pulls up a chair, or better, gets up and walks out with you when they refuse to make space. And my daughter, she'll never have to wonder if she belongs, not while I'm breathing. 3 days later, Camille finally called. I saw her name flash across my screen, and for a second my stomach turned, the way it always used to before walking into family events. Unsure if I'd be hugged or humiliated, I let it ring twice before answering. "Naomi," she said, voice clipped. "So, that little stunt made you popular." I didn't respond. She always started with sarcasm when she felt cornered. She sighed. "Mom's upset. She says you embarrassed her." That made me laugh. Quiet and bitter. Embarrassed her? Or just told the truth she's always hidden under gift bags and dinner reservations? There was silence. Then, "You overreacted. You always take things so personally." I closed my eyes. I remembered Maya's small voice, her smile crumpling. I remembered the 10 chairs, the deliberate exclusion, the way not a single person stood. "No," I said, calm and steady. "You all just never expected me to say anything. And now that I finally have, it's inconvenient." Camille's voice dropped. "We didn't mean to hurt her, but they did. Not by accident, but by design. Exclusion is never passive. It's a choice. You did hurt her," I replied. "And I won't bring her into a room that tells her she's too much or not enough." "You're being dramatic," I smiled. "No, I'm being a mother." She hung up without saying goodbye, and for the first time I didn't cry afterward. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel small. I felt rooted, firm, whole. Because once you start choosing your worth, the people who never valued it get quieter, and you stop mistaking their silence for loss. A week passed. The messages slowed. The noise faded. But something inside me stayed awake, not anxious, just aware. Then one afternoon, a card showed up in the mailbox. No return address. Just my name, written in my mother's tidy cursive. I stared at it for a long time. Maya sat beside me on the porch steps, legs swinging, reading a comic. I didn't open it right away. I wasn't sure I needed to. Eventually, I did. Inside was a generic Hallmark birthday card, the kind you grab in a rush. The message read, "Families fight. That's normal. But you should have handled things privately. You embarrassed all of us. Still, you're my daughter. I love you, Mom." There was no mention of Maya, no apology, just an undercurrent of shame disguised as affection. I closed the card and tucked it under the bench. Maya looked up. From Grandma? I nodded. She didn't ask what it said. Instead, she reached into her backpack and handed me a folded piece of paper. A drawing, us, standing under a tree. Me holding her hand. Above us. Love makes room. My throat tightened. She wasn't asking for explanations. She just needed my presence, my protection, my consistency. I wrapped my arm around her shoulder, held her close. Some wounds come wrapped in birthday cards. Some healing comes through crayon drawings. And I knew, in that moment, I didn't need their version of love anymore. Not if it came, with conditions. Not if it only made space when no one was watching. Because the only legacy worth passing down is the one that sees our children fully, and never asks them to shrink. Later that night, I cleaned the kitchen while Maya worked. On homework at the table, the radio played something soft. The windows were cracked open just enough to let the breeze carry in the sound of children laughing somewhere down the street. Our home wasn't big. No marble counters, no chandelier hanging above a 12-person table. But it held us. The drawing she gave me was taped to the fridge now, her crayon sky streaked with hopeful color. Love makes room. I looked around, at the mismatched mugs, at the secondhand couch, at Maya's sneakers by the door, still dusted with playground sand. And I realized this little place had something no 5-star restaurant ever did. A seat for her, always. There were years I thought I had to earn space at someone else's table. That if I dressed well enough, stayed quiet enough, worked hard enough, they'd finally see me. Finally let me belong. But all that effort only taught me how to disappear more politely. Not anymore. Now we build the room. We make the table. We write the rules, and the rule is simple. No one who loves you makes you beg to exist. Maya looked up from her math workbook. Mom? Yeah? Can we make pancakes for dinner? I smiled. Only if we add chocolate chips. She grinned. And just like that, on a regular night, in an unremarkable kitchen, I felt everything shift. Because healing doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it's pancakes at sunset. Sometimes it's a chair no one has to ask for. Weeks passed. The story faded from headlines. The restaurant's post was replaced by new photos, new guests. But something stayed. Not out there, in the world. Inside us. In the way Maya walked into rooms now, shoulders a little straighter. In the way I stopped apologizing before I even spoke. In the peace that came when I stopped asking for space and started making it myself. Then one Saturday, Maya said, "Can I invite a few friends over?" Of course, I smiled. How many? She hesitated. Maybe 8? 8. More than our tiny table could hold, but I didn't flinch. We moved the couch, pulled in every chair from every room, a folding table from the closet. We made it work. That afternoon, laughter filled our home. Kids sprawled on cushions, plates of spaghetti and garlic bread passed down the line. Someone spilled juice. No, one cared. Maya caught my eye mid-laugh and mouthed, "Thank you." And I nodded. Because this noisy, joyful, imperfect moment was what I'd always wanted for her. Not fancy, not filtered, just full. A place where no one asked if she belonged, because it was already hers. Later, after the last dish was washed and silence settled back in, I sat alone at the table. I thought about my mother, my sister, the people still clinging to their perfect dinner parties. I hoped one day they'd learn what I did, that love isn't a seat you earn, it's one you offer. And as long as I'm breathing, my daughter will never have to wonder if there's room for her. There always will be, because we built it, together.